Hello, listeners with attitude. I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're continuing our journey through the Power Rangers franchise.
In today's episode, we're discussing the comic Power Rangers Aftershock.
Nathan, this is a little bit of a weird format, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
This is
what happens when we decide to change things up to save ourselves a little bit of time, because we got to put all the effort toward the 5, 6, 7, 10-hour episodes we got to put out once a month.
Yeah, it felt a little bit. It felt a little easier after kind of thinking about it to just start doing live streams. That way, it'll help cut down on the editing, because all I have to do is just take this audio, throw some music on it, make it sound official, and then we're done. But
and then take out all the stuff that would get us canceled if it was put out on a podcast or something.
Whoa! No, sir. Sorry, no. We don't say things like that on this podcast.
Oh, we don't. Yeah, well, you got to keep the potty mouth to a minimum, because we can't unless we want to put a spicy label on this. I
mean, we could put a spicy label on it. I'm not opposed.
I don't know. You're gonna have to talk to Travis, because we're sending this out to the Power Rangers Legacy Facebook group. We're sending it out to the Power Trip YouTube channel, and it's going out to the Kaiju Ramen YouTube channel, and I don't think our co-host in common would appreciate us. Yes, I'm bringing the joke back once because he's in the chat. I don't think he would appreciate us getting spicy on the Kaiju Ramen, even though we all like Kaiju Ramen. I almost feel like we should have acknowledged the Kaiju Ramen readers when we did that intro, because we're doing this live. I don't know, but what do we call the Kaiju Ramen readers? Are they like the ramen heads or something? The Ramenites?
The Ramenites? The ramen. I don't know. The noodles?
Ramen writers?
No, that sounds spicier than what I was wanting that to sound. Thank you. So, I mean, Nathan, should we acknowledge the change in format for a brief second?
Yes, we should.
Okay. So obviously we are doing this live. We're doing a little bit of a live record. Well, not a little bit of a live recording. We're doing a live recording.
This is live. What are we talking? We'll do it
live.
Live.
We're doing it. We're doing it live, people. We're doing it live. But yeah, so Nathan and I came up with the harebrained idea that we're going to start doing our comic episodes, because they typically tend to be a little bit shorter. We're going to start doing them as live streams, which means, Nathan, you have to mind your P's and Q's while we're on air.
Well, yeah, and you have to not dragon dagger it all over the place.
I don't know what the frick you're talking about, sir. Good sir.
You people don't realize what gets said when off the air. I'm just saying.
Especially,
he would make a sailor blush.
That is not true. Julie has a worse sailor mouth than I do. Thank you very much. Yes, she does. It is true.
Well, aren't you two just perfect for each other?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but she's. Please don't listen. Please don't watch this, Julie. Anyway,
so that's why you named a gun after her. Got it.
No, that's an inside joke. Okay, we don't do inside jokes on this podcast, Nathan. Yes, quite.
Anyway, so yes, we're shaking up the format a little bit to save ourselves a little bit on production time. We're also altering the schedule. We had originally planned to talk about this comic, but we had originally planned to talk about the comic later in the season. But because Kaku Ranger took longer than we were expecting, we want to try to stay on schedule. Yeah, so we'll do a comic episode now, and then our next episode will be Once and Always, because we're 2 days away from that right now.
At the time of this, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, more than likely Once and Always has already happened.
Right. And just so all of you know, we will be ignoring social media, so do not try to talk about us, talk to us about it with spoilers. We will ignore you.
Who would talk about us, Nathan? I don't know. I don't have a clue of anyone who would talk about us. Why would we even come up in conversation?
Yeah, that's a very good question. But but on the bright side, well, bright side for all of you listeners with attitude. I don't know if it'll be a bright side for us, but we're going to do 2 Sentai episodes in 1 month to make up for all of this. So, yay!
Yeah, yay!
And it's going to be O-Ranger and Car Ranger. So,
complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
O-Ranger feels like it jumps from one end of the spectrum. It's a little bipolar, but I'll save that for the episode. Save it for the show.
Save it for the show, Nathan. Save it for the show. But before we move on into actually talking about what we're here to talk about, since we're doing this fancy new format, I guess we need to acknowledge the chat now, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So we have quite a few listeners with attitude, or noodlers. We'll call them noodlers.
Noodlers.
We'll call them noodlers.
Yeah, I see. We got Jake. We got Jake Hambrick.
Oh,
We've got Kaiju Kim.
Oh, the queen.
Yes, we got Godzilla Train. Nice to
Adrian.
see you. We've got, I believe it is our co-host in common, Travis, using the Kaiju Weekly account there.
Who else would it be, Nathan?
Yeah. We also have the mysterious Facebook user.
Oh. Well, the mysterious Facebook user usually pops in at least once or twice during the stream. So
yeah. And he said something a little bit later here. He said, I could make a joke about Sailor Mouth, but that would be too spicy, LOL.
Uh-oh.
So thank you, Mr. User.
I bet I know who that is. I bet it's Christopher Reiner. I bet you
possibly.
I bet that's Christopher.
Oh,
Reiner.
well, Mr. User says, I am not ready for Car Ranger. Well, we'll see. Travis says, I veto noodlers.
Well, Travis, let me noodle on that, please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, but there is one person in the chat that
Nathan, be good. Nathan, be good. Behave. I told you, we're live on air. Behave yourself. It is our friend from Scotland. It's good old Jamie. How are you doing? How do you like my dodgy
around
Scottish
and around?
It's good to see you around and away you go.
Because he's Scottish?
Yeah. I'm Scottish.
Come on, Jamie. Come on. I want you to do it. Come on. Troll me. Come on. We know you love this comic. You love it so much.
We're not poking the kilted bear today. Come on. Okay.
So,
all right.
Facebook user says, "Hey guys, wait, I think he's a little confused. I'm just saying." Mr. User, if that is your real name.
Facebook user, you have to by the way, if you want your name, just type your name in the chat, let us know who you are so that we don't keep calling you Facebook user, or allow StreamYard to as one of the apps, or allow permission from StreamYard to enter into your Facebook.
Here's Mr. Reiner, who also says no to the noodlers.
Oh, well.
And here is someone named Life is Lavally. I'm the one who just said hello.
Okay. Oh, okay. Hello. It's good to see you.
Oh, hi, Jamie. I'm good. And no, I'm staying as placid as I can.
I read that as flaccid. God, help me. All
right. Jamie, hashtag challenge accepted.
Jamie, do you live on a lake? Do you live in a lake? Just out of curiosity.
Is there a gator? Very large one.
Is there a large? Oh boy. Okay. Anyway,
there's multiple people in your Facebook chat, but their names aren't coming up. Yes, we know.
Oh, that's sad. Hopefully you guys will have a good time.
Yeah, hopefully you remember me from the toy unboxing. I wasn't there for that one, so you'll have to talk to Michael about that.
Oh yeah. I think I remember. Yes, I remember you from the toy unboxing. Yes, the one where I unboxed all the Ultra 7, all the Super 7 stuff. I've been watching a lot of Ultraman lately too, just to cleanse my
It's
palate.
A downgrade from from Ultra.
like in the hierarchy, in the hierarchy of Henshin heroes, it's got to be, for me personally, and this is a tangent. I'll probably end up cutting this out, but it's probably
we'll count it as part of acknowledging the chat.
Right. Well, so it's probably Super Sentai, and then way down the list is Ultraman, and then even further down the list it's Kamen Rider, because Kamen Rider is only for the Toku hipsters. You know this, Nate.
Right. We get it. You're a Sentai supremacist.
Now that is a word that I cannot say on air right now. Anyway. Oh, sorry.
We've already mentioned the magazine, Travis.
Okay, so yes, as the Power Trip podcast is a part of the Kaiju Ramen Podcasting Network, which is a part of the Kaiju Ramen Media family of podcasts. So we are about to release issue 9 of Kaiju Ramen. Well, actually, we released the digital version.
It dropped today.
It dropped today. My bad. I'm a bad co-host. We issue 9.
Oh,
of Kaiju.
What happened to being the best co-host?
Well, I'm only better than you, Nathan. So issue 9 of Kaiju
We
Ramen.
are mentioning again, Alexander.
Quit interrupting me, Marchant. Kaiju number 9 did drop today in digital form. Pre-orders for the physical copies of issue 9 are up right now, so you can go over to kaijuramenmedia.com and pre-order that physical copy tonight or tomorrow, but preferably tonight. And we will be placing an order for those very, very soon. So yes, kaijuramenmedia.com is our parent network, or our parent website, where you can find all the kaiju and tokusatsu goodness, as the typical intro would tell you. So speaking of following the format, Nathan, since this is a live recording of the actual podcast, we do have to do one thing to transition us into the actual topic that we're going to be talking about.
And that is...
Cue the epic rock music.
That you can pretend is actually here because we're not playing it live.
Oh, that's disappointing. Come on.
Oh, you want me? I didn't know we were going to play it live.
Actually, no, don't play it live. I'll just add it in post. It's fine.
Yeah, there you go. So use your imaginations. All right, here we go. And my apologies if you have to sit through me doing this 2 times or 3 or whatever. All right. 1 week after Rita Repulsa is into space, the citizens of Angel Grove take shelter. The citizens of Angel Grove take shelter in refugee tents while the Power Rangers mop up leftover putties formed by remnants of Not Goldar. Jason struggles with the weight of leadership, fearing someone will die on his watch, while the other Rangers continue to learn their powers. Meanwhile, the twins Audrey and Jacob, who were orphaned during Rita's attack, merge with Goldar dust putties to become monsters. Now they're on a revengeful rampage to kill the Rangers as a secretive woman watches.
So is Goldar dust the same as angel dust? Can you get high from it? Just curious. Asking for a friend, actually.
Wow. Now that, although that is actually an interesting idea that they could have played around with.
Like they could, like they totally
someone's actually selling this stuff. Like
yes.
a drug, like Angel Grove drug dealers are selling this thing.
Yes.
Selling this stuff.
You call it gold. You call it Goldar dust, or you call it gold dust. For anyone's listening to this, the audio, I did the gold dust, the wrestler, the okay, whatever. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Moving on. Although I think we all know what would be the results of that. You turn into a kaiju at the end.
Hey, worse things can happen. You be an addict or be a kaiju. Which one would you want to be, Nathan? Come on, be real.
Except in this case, I think it would be both.
Anyway, we're talking about Saban's Power Rangers Aftershock, which is the
only sequel we will ever get to the 2017 movie, much to the chagrin of some and the delight of a certain Scotsman.
Oh, come on, get off Jamie's arse for one time, Nathan. Come on. Our friend Jamie is incredibly patient with us and all the Scottish jokes.
He only comes up as much as he does on the show because he talks to us all the time.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Just as a quick little shout out again to Jamie. He's the one that he's actually one of the ones that coached us through our our season 1, giving us all like the tidbits of information on the Ranger series. So, like that's actually a heartfelt thank you, Jamie. I know you're in the chat right now listening. So thank you for, kind of coaching us through some of the seasons that we weren't super familiar with that you were. So we appreciate that. Anyway, so Nathan, this is the follow-up comic to the very
divisive.
We'll say divisive.
Polarizing.
There we go. That's probably a better word to use. It's the polarizing movie, the 2017 Power Rangers movie. So honestly, I was not aware that this thing even existed either.
Neither was Travis, according to the chat.
Right. So I was not aware that thing existed until we started doing a little bit of research and found out that, we can read a comic. But when I was reading through it, I want to be really nice to it, but at the end of the day, it's really not all that interesting.
But I think that's because it's forced to exist in a vacuum.
Right. No, it is.
Which we'll get into it as we unpack it a little bit more.
Right. And as we're kind of talking about it, you and I were talking about this the other night, that it kind of serves the same purpose as, correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan, but Godzilla Aftershock. Is that the one that came after 2014 leading up to King of the Monsters?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Was that the one? Okay. So it kind of serves as a bridge between the two, between what would have been a sequel movie. And you can kind of tell that too. So I'm wondering if some of the characters that we met in this comic, we would have seen in the sequel film.
Right. But we'll never know. I'm not entirely sure. If when I was reading the comic, I did wonder, like if we could have taken some of this and fit it into some of those, like when we did the episode, we basically planned out the next 2 movies in this trilogy. If we could have worked some of this into there. I honestly don't know at this point, but just to let everybody know, I tried looking up some information on this comic to try to get some background and everything, and I found a lot of nothing on it. So the only thing I can really tell you is that it was published by Boom Studios March 28th, 2017, which was just a few short days after the movie was released. So it was within a week the sequel comic was out. And the writer is of great import to Ranger fans because it was written by Ryan Parrott, who's, I think, really second only to Kyle Higgins in terms of the high-profile writers working at Boom on these Power Ranger comics. The pencilers were Lucas Wernick and Robert Carey. Our cover artists were Scott Newman and Greg Smallwood. Our colorist was Joanna LaFuente. I hope I said that correctly. Our letterer was Jim Campbell. And our editor was Daphna Plebe. Okay.
No, I don't think plebe is the right word, Nathan.
I know. I'm just being funny. But anyway, so yeah. It's hard not to jump to the end with this thing. Talking about just how the whole thing plays out.
What do you mean? Like jump?
Because it's a self-contained story, but it ends not on a cliffhanger so much as with the promise of more. And I can't help but wonder, had the movie been successful, that we could have seen more of these comics to bridge the gap between the first movie and a sequel. Or maybe they would have at least continued making more comics.
Yeah,
the premise had a second film.
The premise is at least interesting, right? I mean, the premise is
the premise is the consequences of the movie,
right? So when we first meet our Ranger team, they're literally playing mop-up crew for what just happened a few weeks prior with the invasion, or the what do they call it in the
encounter?
The encounter. That's right. Yeah. So they call it the encounter. For some reason, I thought they called it the invasion.
No.
which that would make more sense. But I
Not
guess
really, because it wasn't a full-scale invasion.
well, but I guess Close Encounters, it's an alien
Mhm.
reference. Okay, whatever. So.
Not the only reference that's in this.
Oh no, there's
a very direct Breakfast Club homage toward the end.
Very much. Yeah. Very much. Yeah.
Yeah, toward the end with Trini of all people, which is kind of interesting, where they replicate it perfectly, where she's walking away from Kimberly after having a conversation with her, and she does the fist pump thing that, I can't remember the actor's name. Dang it, I can't, because he was also in Transformers the movie as Hot Rod. I can't remember his name now.
God, what is the? Yeah, I don't want to have to look it up since we're on air, but
right. But you know what we're talking about. As soon as somebody says his name in the chat, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
But so which is kind of interesting because the Breakfast Club was cited numerous times by the creators of the film as an influence, and it's undeniable, honestly, if you look at it. So I'm not surprised that they would make a direct homage, but we're not here to talk about direct homages. We're here to talk about Judd Nelson. There you go. We're here to talk about the comic itself. So dealing with the consequences of it, I think, is pretty cool. It's not something that the TV shows did all that often. Weirdly enough, I think Sentai does it more, or at the very least, they show more stuff with civilians either getting hurt or running or something like that during these attacks compared to Power Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Sentai for like you couldn't tell that Sentai was a kid's show, but it just goes back to what we've said all along, talking about Power Rangers versus Sentai. When we do the Who Done It Better segment, it's always in the back of our mind that it's amazing to us that the sensibilities between American television and Japanese television are almost polar opposites. What they would deem what we would deem inappropriate here in the United States, it's just a plot point over there,
or a plot device or something,
or a plot device, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I do think this is tonally in keeping with the movie. Some of the characterization feels a little off. I feel like maybe I'm just crazy, but Billy doesn't come across as autistic in this, nor do they bring up anything pertaining to Trini's sexuality or anything, because it's not, that's just not important in this. I don't know why the characterization for Billy isn't as strong, but then again, and Zach doesn't get a whole lot to do in this. The two Rangers who get the lion's share, Rangers that get the lion's share of the attention are Jason and Kimberly. Especially Jason. And I like what they do with Jason in this, where he's burdened by the weight of being the team leader. He's not so much worried about not being able to lead the team. He's afraid that he's going to make a mistake and someone's going to die.
Right. He's guilt-ridden.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much guilt. It's just he's just afraid of screwing up. Right.
So because he's this kid with this massive responsibility on his shoulders now to do what he's doing, to be the Red Ranger, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot for him, and he's trying to lead a team that I don't know. Like, I feel like the team respects him to a degree, but
they do.
He's not a very confident leader, and it shows in this comic.
Right. Well, I think he said it wasn't. I'm going to look it up here. Let's see if I can find it real quick. There's a scene where they address that. I don't know if I think he says it's not so much a confidence issue. I think it's more of a worry issue. Yeah, here's the scene. He says, I know some of you don't like the way I lead. You don't have to say it. I get it. And you know what? You're probably right. We're all new at this, and the truth is, I don't know what I'm doing. I pretend to, but I don't. All those command phrases I use, I looked them up online. Flank, counter, no idea what they mean. And yes, they sound dumb to me too. I didn't want to say it, but I am absolutely terrified every single time we go out there.
Well, that's a moment of vulnerability for Jason as well, which is part of being a leader. Like being able to be vulnerable is part of being a leader. It's part of being it's part of being a good leader, because if you can be vulnerable with your team, it feels like it's a trust building exercise. We talk about that at work we talk about that even in my job. We talk about just being vulnerable with one another, and being empathetically honest with one another, so that you can build that trust. And I think that's part of it. And I think even I know we're not necessarily talking about themes, but
Yeah, because you and I disagree on a theme for this comic.
Yeah, my theme was vulnerability,
and mine was learning from mistakes.
Right. So, but my theme was vulnerability only because I feel like it fits a little bit nicer with our villain characters, Aubrey and crap. What was
Jacob?
What was Jacob? There we go. I know it started with a J. I almost called him Jack. Sorry, Jack. But I feel like vulnerability works for them as well, and it's a little bit of a workaround, and I'll test it out on you to see if it works for you. Those are two people that were basically forgotten by the system. Their parents died and they were left to fend for themselves. And basically they were just vulnerable kids trying to make it for themselves. And they ended up going down the wrong path. So that's kind of where I landed with vulnerability for them. And then Jason being, vulnerable and being brave enough to be vulnerable with his team. So that's why I kind of landed on the theme of vulnerability for this one.
I went with learning from mistakes because the Rangers are still learning how to utilize their powers. Jason is afraid of making mistakes, and if you want to look at it as such, the encounter, as they call it, those two kids were orphaned by it, so they're dealing with the consequences of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's
and then they make the mistake of going off and they find some Goldar dust putties and merge with them to become Marvel Comics supervillains.
Right, and so we talk about was it the Green with Evil? Was it the Green? We're talking about the Green with Evil episode where you can be corrupted. Like it's just the Goldar. Let me rephrase. Hang on. Let me back up and let me reassess my thought here. The Goldar putty, the Goldar dust, whatever you want to call it, just amplified what was already inside of them. Right. So they were already two kids with fighting extreme turmoil, and they went down the wrong path, and that Goldar putty just amplified that. What I found really interesting about that though is once the putty merged with them and their cells, it's like they had a split personality. It was like Goldar in that moment had a new body essentially, because it was his thoughts and his memories, because there's a reference in the comic. I can't remember what page it's on, but it's like, I remember doing this before. I remember fighting you guys before, but but I remember being 40 feet taller or something like that.
Right. Something like that. But Zordon did say that these Goldar remnants are no longer sentient. The sentience is fading away as time goes on.
Right.
So it's probably more like just pure instinct at this point.
But they were sentient. But they were sentient for a while,
right?
At least that's what the comic implies.
That's what the comic implies. But the other interesting thing is the brother becomes a monster first. His sister is like, we need to find another one so I can do that, and that is her goal. But then when she actually first starts to actually merge, she doesn't want to.
She changes her mind.
She says, no, I changed my mind. But then when the merging actually happens, she's like, yes, I love it. And then
well, in a way though, that's kind of like what you were saying with the theme that you came up with, was just dealing with the consequences.
Yeah. Mistakes.
Yeah. Dealing with the mistakes. Like she made a mistake in that moment to give in to that, to give into the Goldar putty, to give into the Goldar dust. And she instantly regretted it, whereas her brother didn't. Like her brother had a bigger thirst for revenge, power,
Mhm.
whatever you want to say it, whatever you call it a lot of things, but he had a bigger thirst for it than she did. And but
Yeah, which
by the time she realized it, it was just too late, which is what happens to a lot of people.
right, which is something that we should bring up here, since we're talking about the villains. The villains up until the end, I
Mhm.
feel like are they feel the least like Power Rangers out of like they are the least Power Rangery thing I think we have in this. Like I said, until the end, because at the end the two of them combine together and become a kaiju, and then we get a Zord fight.
Mhm.
Cool, but before that, it really wasn't a Power Ranger story with them. It felt like a Marvel comic story to me.
Mhm. No, I think so. I think you're right. Like, because the whole thing, the whole 2017 mythos, whatever you want to call it, does feel more Marvel, leans more modern Marvel than it does Power Rangers. Like
Yeah.
there are essences of Power Rangers in the 2017 movie and in this comic. There's cheesy dialogue, there's Zord fights, there's putties,
Yeah,
there's
actually, the Rangers in this are a bit wittier.
yeah, they do have some better one-liners in this
They
comic.
they have some better one-liners in here. I wrote some of them down. It was I'll create a fulcrum. That's like the Billy. That's one of we're used to. That's like old school Billy right there. Say something nerdy.
Mhm,
You know what is he talking about? And he's talking about grabbing onto a car that's about to fall off of a cliff. So
mhm,
while he's holding onto it, while the other Rangers get the people out of it.
mhm.
And Jason says stuff like, "You're mad we're not the Beatles yet." I'm like, aren't you a little young to know who the Beatles are? But I don't know. Because red's a primary color, which is that was from Kim saying, is that why you're the leader, Jason? He probably has a point there.
Probably, probably.
Someone
But
says Red Rover at one point. Oh, the bad guy says Red Rover to Jason at one
Red
point.
Red Rover. Oh, what is it? What is the rhyme?
Red Rover sends so and so over.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Trini has a pretty nice one at one point. Which says, "That's the giant robot equivalent of throwing a drink in your face." Oh, I forgot. It was just we were talking about homages. I kind of wonder. I'm trying to remember what page it's on, but there's a panel in this. I'm like, is that an homage to Action Comics #1, just without Superman? Because there's a car that goes flying. Yeah, right here. Yeah, there's a car that's flying up from an explosion, and I'm like,
Okay.
that looks suspiciously like. Oh, it's getting kicked. I think. And like that looks suspiciously like Action Comics #1, but
Mhm,
I would notice things like that.
mhm.
But so I think they were trying to move the comic a little bit closer to the show, and at least with stuff like that. But like I said, the villains they don't feel like Super Sentai or Power Ranger Monsters of the Week. We don't have a main villain who's
It's
making them.
because they're not as I mean, like it's all fantastical, but it's not as I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
It's certainly not in the style of Sentai and Power
Right.
Rangers. Yeah.
Where Monsters of the Week lean into the absurd
The
with
absurd, yeah, basically the absurd, not abstract. They lean into the absurd
a little abstract,
and gimmicky.
a little Jackson Pollock at sometimes too.
Yeah, but yeah, they lean into gimmicks and they lean into absurdity, and we don't really get that here. This is still pretty grounded.
It
Now,
is.
the absurdity comes when they turn into a kaiju at the end, but
You know, I just like you were talking about how these felt like Marvel Comics villains. You know, Jacob when he first merges with the putty with the putty goo with the Goldar dust whatever, it felt like Sandman. It's what it kind of, I know
a little bit.
it's not really like that, but it kind of reminded me a little of
It
Sandman.
actually reminded me more of Venom
See,
when the symbiotes bond with people.
yeah. That's okay. That's a better comparison.
Yeah,
You, I don't read. You can tell I don't read comics, so
your loss.
I know. It's because I have no imagination, I guess.
don't, I was gonna make a comment about like, but it has pictures.
Moving on. Anyway,
Yeah,
so there
moving
are
on.
some interesting little tidbits in this in
It
this
should be noted we get some. I think we get some pretty cool new supporting cast characters in this, but there's not a lot done with them. And I wonder if that's because maybe they had initially had plans to do more of these, and then the movie bombed. I won't sugarcoat it. The movie bombed, so they didn't make anymore. But we have it's the police chief there, Chief Colton, who I said looks like Mike Hagger or Captain Gordon because he's got the mustache. Okay. Have fun editing that. We just got trolled by Travis. Anyway. Although Chief Colton does say one of the weirdest lines, I think, in this entire comic for me, which is he uses the phrase alien looky-loos. And for some odd reason, spell check doesn't mind that word.
I mean, because looky-loo is an it's like an old-timey phrase. Like my dad used to say that, looky-loo.
I was just like, huh? Okay, boomer.
I mean, it's a boomer. Yeah, it's a boomer phrase, but it's not, I've heard it before.
Yeah, so we have the chief there, but the one that we really have to talk about is, I think she goes by the name Sheer in this, but that's probably not her real name.
Right. See, the woman that comes to bring aid to
as part
Angel
of Samaritan Relief. But as soon as I saw them show up, I don't know if it's just because I'm just too genre savvy or whatever, but I immediately thought something's going on with them, and I kind of called it. She works for the government.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, Samaritan's Relief, it's reasonable that it's not too euphemistic that you couldn't have believed it, though.
It sounds it's a play off of some
Samaritan's Purse,
some Samaritan's Purse and things like that. You know, so I was willing to go with it. I was like, okay, they probably don't want to use the name of the real organization, so we can come up with something that sounds reasonably close that communicates what we're talking about here. Right. But then I was like, I kind of call it. Now, she only appears sporadically throughout it, and she's always just kind of seeming a little shady. She's just observing things. The big revelation comes, well, the most involvement that she has is at the end when we're doing the wrap up for everything. And she shows up, she like snaps her finger, and I still don't know if she literally made soldiers just ninja in, like they just teleported in, like they just materialized. I don't know if that's what they did. I don't know if that's what she did, or if they were just hiding really well and then just came in when she snapped her finger. And they pulled guns on the Rangers. And my first thought is, I was like, you know what? I'm willing to believe they're bulletproof. So I don't know what you guys think you're doing, but
right.
And then she basically says, we're going to be watching. And we find out that she has our two villains,
Aubrey,
locked up in a lab someplace, and presumably is going to be experimenting on them or something. She collected them after they were defeated.
Right.
And and basically just tells the Rangers, I'm going to be watching, and leaves. And that's how it ends.
It is. So it does lead you to believe that she was going to be a character or something in the next film, at least the next comic. We don't know how many comics there were supposed to be in between movies. So it could just be a comic character that gets resolved in a next issue or something, but we'll never know because this lives in a vacuum, unfortunately.
Right. So, I mean, we had some interesting additions. I thought it was an interesting status quo. It would have taken this into an interesting but different direction in terms of Power Rangers. Now, how much of it would have played into a sequel to the movie, I don't know.
Mhm.
There have been tie-in comics like this done for other film franchises, but the comics don't usually affect the next film entry all that much. Now, there have been some, I guess you could say, like, what's the word? Like these multimedia franchises where they have various kinds of media and you have to keep up with all of it to fully understand what's going on.
Mhm.
The example I can think of is the Mortal Kombat video games, where I played Mortal Kombat 9 from 2011.
Mhm.
Got really into it. I thought the story was pretty well done, and I wanted to see what was going to happen next. They changed a lot of stuff up. And then I start playing Mortal Kombat X, and I'm like, what the heck? You time jumped 20 years, and this guy's not a cyborg anymore. And what the heck just happened? I don't get it. And then I found out by reading online, it's like, oh, if I had read the comic books, I would know what was going on. And I'm like, the frick NetherRealm, you can't assume that everyone keeps up with everything.
But it's more fun if you do.
I guess.
And to Travis's point, Star Wars is getting there.
Yeah, Star Wars is starting to get there. Yeah, there's a lot of franchises that they're starting to get there, but that's just one example. So I don't know, but I do know that like the Star Trek 2009 movie has spawned a comic book series, and they would tell stories that take place in between the movies, but you can watch the movies and nothing really affects it. So but I don't know how this would have played out. So could we have seen Sheer and Chief Colton in a Power Rangers 2? I suppose it's possible, but introducing Sheer in the movie would have been difficult to do, I think.
Mm-hmm. Right. So this comic also, not only does it introduce us to some new characters and things, it also builds on some things that were sort of established in the movie, namely the relationship between Kim and Jason.
Which I found kind of interesting. They only really get one decent enough moment in this.
They get one spread, or
they get one spread basically. Yeah. And now their exchange is pretty funny. I'll find it here, but I find that interesting because I don't know if the comic was produced, considering how fast the comic was released after the movie. I don't know if they knew about the change in the script where that one scene was originally going to end with a kiss between Jason and Kim, and then the filmmakers changed it so it didn't end that way because they just thought they just felt it was inappropriate for it. And I think that was a good call. But in this one, for at least a second, they let them have a moment. Yeah, I found the page here. So Jason has driven her home and is dropping her off, and he's moving in, and he says, the exchange goes, Kim says, thanks for the ride, night. Jason says, hold up a sec. I know everything's crazy right now, and we're all just trying to find our footing, but you and I, we have this thing between us. In common, I mean. Kim says, use your words, Jason. Jason says, I'm just saying, if we wanted, there's an explosion in the distance. They look toward it, and Jason says, I have the worst luck in the world. Kim says, we have the worst luck. And then Jason says, guess it's morphin' time.
What I found really interesting about that particular panel is the phrasing, we have this thing between us, and then immediately right beside that, there's an explosion. So is that right? I mean, is it sparks? Is it fireworks? What is it? Apparently it's
my gosh, I want to.
Apparently it's buildings
not a
blowing
dragon
up.
dagger. It's not a dragon dagger, but can I say it?
No, you can't. I don't know what you're talking about, but you can't. What are you talking about?
You told me not to say it. Now you're saying to say it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Nathan. Either you
When
say
you were
it,
when you were analyzing what the explosion meant, about whether it was sparks or something else, and I had a thought, and I don't think I could say it.
okay. All right. That will then we'll leave it there. Then we'll leave it there. But I mean, on a more serious tone, I believe that panel was referencing the reason why they can't be together is because of their ranger duties.
Right.
Right. So that is a subtle way of that is a subtle way of alluding to that, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. Now, unfortunately, they don't do a whole lot beyond that because they got other things to take care of, which is again why I wonder if there was supposed to be more.
Right. I mean, I think there was I think there was supposed to be more. Just a little bit more anyway.
Right. But like I said, that's the frustrating thing. This is forced to exist in a vacuum. It's actually not too dissimilar to what ended up happening with me regarding Pacific Rim Uprising. So I brought our friend Jack on.
Uh-huh.
And I basically just dared him. It's like, defend this movie. I do not like this movie. I actively hate this movie. Convince me that it's not as bad as I think it is.
Well, it's not.
Beside the point. And he didn't succeed in convincing me to necessarily like the movie, but he did convince me to be more forgiving of the movie because Uprising is forced to exist in a vacuum. And if there had been a third movie, I probably would have looked back on that movie more kindly.
Right.
Because, as he put it, it's like if you hear about what they were wanting to do with a third film, they took bold steps to set it up. They took big risks in that movie. And I can admire them for taking the big risks, but it didn't pay off because it soured people because they had no idea what they were going to do. So that's what this comic is. It is forced to exist in a vacuum, but because it's forced to exist in a vacuum, it's less interesting. Now, if we had gotten more, if this had been the start of something, I think we would have looked back on it with more satisfaction.
I think so too. And like you, Nathan, I had to come around to the 2017 movie. And really, it wasn't until I watched.
You actively hated it. We got to make a distinction here. You actively hated it. I was ambivalent, indifferent, whichever word you prefer.
I always assumed, and I don't want to rehash this because we talked about it during that episode.
We've talked about it ad nauseum.
If you want to go listen to that, I don't know what episode number it is. Go find it. It's our 2017 Power Rangers episode. But we talked. What brought me around on the movie is the fact it is the documentary that we watched, the 2-hour making of documentary. Because I always assumed, and this is something that I said, like even up until that recording, that the movie was made by people who just didn't give a damn about the franchise. They were just trying to make their own thing. It was a Godzilla 1998 situation where the director, the producers, the actors, actresses, whatever, didn't give two craps about the franchise that is not a dragon dagger, sir. Didn't give two craps about the content or the source material that they were drawing inspiration from. And I was wrong because all the people who worked on that film really cared about the franchise, and it was the fans that failed the movie. Sorry, not sorry. It was the fans that failed the movie. So anyway,
right.
that's my small soapbox.
Yeah, that's fine. But like I said, if this had been the start of something, I think we would, like I said, we find it more satisfying. As it is, it just exists as this kind of weird, not pseudo sequel. It's a real sequel, but
close, Travis. Close. It's not a sequel. It's a pseudo sequel. It is a continuation of the story, and it's the same. It's the same thing that you said about Pacific Rim. if we had gotten to see the bigger picture, if we had gotten the 2017 movie, this comic in between there, and then the next movie or the next comic, and then another movie and all that stuff, the story would have been fully fleshed out. And even with this comic, it's just so unfortunate that even this comic lives in such a vacuum, because as much as like I was really hoping walking into this comick that it would help me, that it would help flesh out some more of the story that
And
we
it
were
does,
that it does, but it doesn't to the degree that I would want it to. It still leaves a lot of loose ends. That I just, you know, I was expecting a little bit more from this comic, and maybe it was my own issue of expecting more from it than what it was supposed to be.
I think I managed my expectations enough to not expect it to be this grandiose, larger than life sort of sequel. I mean, this would cost a lot of money, I think, to film for sure, because we've got Jacob turning into the unholy love child of Two-Face and the Thing from Marvel Comics, and we've got a kaiju fight at the end. Heck, we even have some solo Zord action, which I thought was kind of cool. It's like that almost never happens anymore,
right?
Before they make the Megazord there at the end. And all the Zords look pretty nice. I have to say. I think actually the Zords look a little bit better in this comic than they do in the film.
Well, you're able to distinguish what the hell they are in this comic, when in the movie it just looks like an amalgamation of twisted metal and lights. That's all they look. That's my biggest. The Zords are my biggest gripe from the movie.
Right. I almost wonder if also they tried to hide some of the design features that drove people like you and our friend Chris Cook crazy, because I don't think you get a full on shot of the Octodon.
And you don't get a full on shot of the Hexaceratops.
Yeah, close enough.
It's close enough.
Yeah, you don't get a full on shot. It's like yeah, those look kind of silly. So we'll compose the shot in such a way that you don't necessarily see those. I don't know, but still, yeah, I will say that was pretty nice seeing that. As for the characters themselves, I don't think they quite get the likenesses of the actors as well for some as they do others.
Jason's likeness is not great. I think
Jason's likeness isn't great. Billy's is pretty good.
Billy's is good. Zach's is good. Kim's is pretty good. Where they're lacking for me is their artist interpretation of Trini and Jason. I think Jason and Trini are lacking a little bit, because I don't remember Jason being this blonde.
No, not really. Oh, and they got Zordon down.
Yeah, they got the Bryan Cranston Zordon down pretty well.
Yeah, they got the Bryan Cranston Zordon down. Alpha looks pretty nice in this artwork. The costumes, I don't know. Do you think the costumes actually look a little bit better in this comic than they do in the movie?
They look a little wonky. They look a little, I don't know. I'm not a fan of these costumes, so I really don't have any good things to say about them.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you thought that they were better realized in this.
Yeah, it's about even with the movie.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing that I noticed that was different. The Rangers spend a lot of time morphed in this comic. A lot of time.
Right. They don't spend a lot of time in their civilian forms, their civilian outfits, their face actor outfits, whatever.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's because they anticipated that people would want to see them morphed more, or people would be upset that they weren't morphed more, or what.
It seems like, okay, so...
Or if they're just like, they're not going to be morphed very much, so let's have them morphed a lot.
So that actually brings up a really valid point, and I didn't think about this until you mentioned it. This comic seems a little bit like a course correction. Does it not? It feels a little bit like a course correction.
But see, the thing is I guarantee you that considering how fast this was released after the movie, I guarantee you this was made at the same time as the movie. So I don't know how much time they probably wouldn't have had, they wouldn't have had any time to make quote unquote course corrections.
But to your point though, like one of the number one complaints that fans, one of the many complaints that fans had with the movie is we don't see them in suits all that much. Like the last 30 minutes of the film, that is what we see them in their Ranger outfits. But they stay in uniform almost the entire time. And then they're obscuring some aspects of the Zords that people complained about, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's very minor course corrections, but it could be slight course corrections.
Yeah, it could be a case of maybe the people working on this comic looked at those sword designs and they're like, no. So they tried to obscure it a little bit. I don't know. I really don't know. What I do know is, it's out there. If you enjoyed the movie, I recommend that you read it because this is as much of this universe as you're probably going to get. There was a lot of potential left on the table with this comic. I think with the movie in general, I've noticed it on social media that it's gotten a little bit more popular to defend this film and say nice things about it and say this should have gotten a sequel and things like that. And so if you're one of those people, this comic is for you. Just be prepared to, if you want a physical copy, be prepared to not pay retail price for it. Because I didn't. I had to pay $25 for it when it retailed for $15. And what's annoying is the last probably quarter of it, or at least last third, is a preview issue of, I forget which,
Mighty
Morphin
number.
Forget which. Mighty Morphin, I don't know, but it was preview Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Volume 1.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's what it was, which was getting put into everything Boom was publishing, all the graphic novels they were publishing at the time. So, that's why I feel I'm not as happy with this purchase as I would like to be, because I would have preferred paying $15, if considering that's how much of it is just, a preview issue. But I think you can get it on Comixology. Because you got it on Comixology, you can get it still pretty reasonably priced, I think.
It was $8. I don't have a Comixology subscription, but I bought the digital version from Amazon for $7.
Yeah.
So that's how I read it.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's that's reasonable, I would say, for to get a digital copy of it, because I'm guessing basically this was only in print for about 15 minutes and Boom just pulled it or just stopped printing it. And so, you're just going to have to get lucky and find what you can out there. So,
yeah.
And 25 is the low end that I usually see this go for now.
Right.
I've seen it go for as much as like 50 or $60. Definitely not worth that price. 25 is really the absolute limit I would go with this one.
So Nathan, so what are your kind of final thoughts on Aftershock? Like how would you summarize your thoughts on the Aftershock?
It's a taste of what we could have gotten, and it's unfortunately all we're ever going to get from this universe. Although just because I'm looking over my notes and there were some other just kind of weird things I just wanted to point out. First off, I did find one typo in it.
Of course you did.
Someone says, how they heck. Okay. I don't know how that one got, but how they heck.
How they heck? I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Billy brings up a thing that they use. Like Brian Parrott must have been doing some crazy research or something. And he's like, haha, here's this interesting thing. And I can finally use it. The triangle of life. It's an earthquake survival tactic.
I mean,
Basically, you go up. If you stand next to another object, particularly something that's like a wall, it will somehow keep debris from falling on you. Because they do it by going up next to a car when there's a building collapsing, and they don't get killed by the debris. I'm like, huh?
I mean, it makes sense.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Congratulations, Billy. You're a nerd.
So, I mean, for me personally, I'm glad it exists. I'm just sad that it lives in such a vacuum that we'll never get a continuation of the story. And to answer Travis's question, or to build on what Travis was saying, yes, Ryan Parrott has moved on from doing Power Rangers.
Yeah, so is Kyle Higgins.
So is Kyle Higgins. Yeah, they wrapped up their tenure with the franchise last year in 2022. They spent 8 years working on it, I believe. I'll have to go and check, but so for my final thoughts on it, I mean, it's fine. It's a nice continuation of what we got in the 2017 movie. If you're hoping for, honestly, if you're hoping for everything to be wrapped up in a nice little convenient bow, don't expect that. But if you're a fan of the movie, or if you're willing to give the movie a reevaluation, go watch the movie, then go read the comic. And you'll probably enjoy it. I enjoyed it overall. It was a nice, just casual, unoffensive read, I guess. I don't know how else to say it, but nothing really nothing super groundbreaking, honestly.
No, but it could have been more.
Could have been more.
It could have been more.
Could have been more. So
it's kind of the story of this whole movie, isn't it? It could have been more.
Could have been more. And before we get into previewing for the next the next
couple of episodes,
because we do have a very special thing that's dropping this week. Let's check in with the chat since we are live streaming this show, Nathan.
Jamie's mad at us. At least he's being polite, but he's mad at us.
Oh, come on, Jamie. Oh, come on. You can take it. You're a big boy. You're a big boy.
I don't know. Okay, man. You can go ahead and hate it. You hate the movie all you want. I don't care. You can go find every copy of this in your local bookstore and do a Fahrenheit 451 book burning. I don't care, but
also, Travis brings up a valid point, and he won't leave me alone until I mention it. We are streaming this show in three places. We're streaming it to the Power Rangers Legacy Facebook group. If you're already a part of that, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're watching this on YouTube, go join the Power Rangers Legacy Facebook group. But also, we're streaming this to the Kaiju Ramen Media Facebook group, because, like I said at the top of the show, we are part of the Kaiju Ramen Media Network, or the Kaiju Ramen family of podcasts. So there you go, Travis. There's your plug.
A lot of what I was seeing in the chat was them commenting on things that we were saying, and some of them don't make a whole lot of sense out of context.
They don't, but okay. So I will ask the chat this, since we're kind of wrapping
Facebook
up.
User had an interesting comment, I will say. And I think it is very unfair to compare Power Rangers 2017 to Ghostbusters 2016.
We don't talk about Ghostbusters 2016. Anyway, so Nathan, we do have this is Power Week. It's been affectionately called by Hasbro Power Week because they did have a show today.
Because of course they would call it that.
Of course. With a little something special coming out on Wednesday. Probably by the time that this episode comes out, Once and Always will have already happened. So Nathan, do you want to give the listeners with attitude a preview of the next couple of episodes, or at least the next episode?
Well, obviously our next episode is going to be Once and Always,
right?
The 30th anniversary special, which is just days away at this point, and we're going to do our best to get the episode out as quickly as possible. Kim says, watch a once and always watch party. If if schedules work out, you're more than welcome to join us.
You are more than well. I know I've talked to several fans today, Kim, with our friends over at Monsters with Attitude. I know they're wanting to do a watch party. Adrian, if you're still in the chat. But yes, we are planning to do a watch party. We just got to get it. Well, at first it was just going to be me and Nate, just so we could get our reactions. But I would love to do a watch party with our friends Travis, Kim, and whoever wants to show up with us and watch. And I don't know if we'll be able to stream that because it's Netflix, but it would be nice to have a watch party. I'm looking forward to. I want to answer this question really quick because before we move on to the once and always stuff, do you think we'll see a continuation of this universe in comic form? I doubt it. I think they've moved on from it, honestly. If they did, we might see something around the anniversary of it if Hasbro cares enough, but we'll see. Or Boom cares enough, maybe. I don't know, but I doubt it personally. But back to once and always, that is going to be our next episode. It's coming out on Wednesday, so we're going to watch it, probably record about it on the weekend, this weekend, and then try to have that episode out next week sometime. But it's just going to be a full week of fanboying over once and always and hyping, because apparently Hasbro is hyping this thing up to be a quote love letter to the Power Rangers franchise and the Power Rangers fans. They said today during their live stream that it was, it's mainly for us 30 something year old adults that grew up with the franchise, but it's also going to be something that those 30 something year old adults can show their kids. And that's what they're aiming towards. So I wouldn't expect something. I'm expecting a little bit of maturity in once and always, but I'm not expecting full blown blood. I'm not expecting.
It won't be the movie.
It won't be the movie. No, it won't be the movie. But it'll be something. It'll be more mature than the 1993 show, probably, most likely, but probably not by much. They've already released
Travis. Yes, the Tim Burton Batman got a comic continuation, but people actually like it enough, or I should say enough people like it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Also, Travis does bring up a good point. I'm going to cry when they talk about Trini's death. Yes. So there's two things that I'm very curious about is how they're going to handle Trini's death and what they're going to do about JDF. And to Jamie's point, if I'm reading, yes. So to Jamie's point, this is a big deal because in the original trailer, they did use the word kill. And if you're a longtime fan, you know that they used the word kill twice. So if you're a longtime fan, you know that the word kill is one of those we learned, from our interview with Miss Marchand that kill and some other words were, banned words from the franchise because you can't say kill on a kid's show. Which, okay, fine, whatever. But it'll be interesting to see how they handle Trini's death and how they're going to handle JDF. My assumption is going to be they're going to have a splash screen for him and Trini, some either before or
Tui
after.
Trang.
Tui Trang. Sorry, they're going to have some kind of black splash screen for in memory of JDF and Tui Trang. I'm hoping that they do some ADR magic and at least bring their voices into the show. But I'm not getting my hopes up. I was telling you this earlier, Nathan, I'm keeping my hopes relatively low to moderate because I don't want to disappoint myself, but I'm still excited.
Honorary uncle knows hip hop keto. Oh boy.
Oh boy. So, I mean, Nathan, are you excited for Once and Always? I know.
Yeah, I am. I'm sure we're gonna get plenty of. I mean, we're definitely gonna podcast longer than that special once we get around to it. I'm expecting we'll probably go at least 2 hours on it.
Just gushing.
I don't know what I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, honestly.
I mean, I'm really I don't know. I'm trying to temper my expectations a little bit,
which is wise.
Yeah, because I'm afraid. Here's what honestly I'm afraid of, that they've shown us everything in the trailer that's important about the episode, because they showed us a lot in that trailer. And if there are supposed to be more surprises, I really want to know what those surprises are, because what they gave us was pretty substantial.
Mm-hmm.
Robo Rita, Trini's dead. The Rangers, what's up with the Ranger dolls at the Moon Palace?
Voodoo, space voodoo.
Rita incarnate. Why is Rita a robot? Who made Rita? My theory is it's Scrozzle.
Not Machine Empire anymore.
My theory is Scrozzle. My theory is Scrozzle. I think they're gonna have some. I think they're gonna have some connections to Cosmic Fury, because Lord Zed is the big bad in Cosmic Fury, and I think there's gonna be some connections there, right, where it was Scrozzle that made Robo Rita, not the machine.
And Travis, get in line.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I would love to have I would honestly love to have all of our friends on that episode to talk about Once and Always. Man, that's going to be
so you really want that 10-hour episode is what
I don't want the 10-hour episode on a 55-minute special. Like, that's insane, Nathan.
1 hour per minute.
1 hour per minute. Jesus Christ.
What about him?
He's good all the time.
And all the time.
Okay, Jamie, I'm excited, but I'm concerned that if we're getting time travel shenanigans, it doesn't mess with or play fast and loose with the established canon, which is something, Jamie, I'm also very terrified on. That
is such an annoying modern trend with these soft reboots, and I don't like it. It is so overused that I'm like, come on. I mean, because it feels like it's invalidating what came before, but doesn't really invalidate what came. It's very difficult to manage well. It is incredibly difficult to manage well, and I would rather they didn't do that. I mean, DC Comics did it twice, but it wasn't with time travel. It was with multiversal madness, with when they did it. And it was, in one case, it was a comic book classic that was just this massive 12-issue epic. But then they did Flashpoint, which Flashpoint was a decent story by itself, but the results of it were not great. So, and true Facebook user, that's what you should have said, Michael.
Only twice?
DC, yeah, 2 major times when they rebooted their universes. That's what I'm thinking of. Crisis on Infinite Earths and, like I said, Flashpoint.
Also, Travis, yes, you do. We love you. Don't play that card, man. Come on. Also, this is the comment I was actually looking for. Jake, get it together. You got to watch the trailer, man. Watch the trailer before.
Okay. Address this. Will you please address this for our favorite Scotsman?
Why? In a recent episode, you mentioned if they went to the year 3000 and met Wes and Jen, but that wouldn't happen canonically. On the recent episode, you mentioned what if they. I mean, okay, so I was wrong. Am I allowed to?
No,
not?
actually, now I remember someone else in the comments on the Facebook group addressed this. We weren't saying that Wes is in the year 3000 with Jen. We were saying that Wes and Jen could be on the special. We didn't say Wes was coming from the year 3000.
I can't remember exactly what we said, Jamie. So I'm not even gonna entertain it. What I was gonna say though, Nathan, is if you want a good blueprint for time travel shenanigans, look at Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. Like that's the blueprint for that is the blueprint for time travel shenanigans. We all know this.
Do you want to stay here for 3 more hours?
We all know this. We all know that Godzilla versus King Ghidorah from 1991 is the blueprint for time travel shenanigans. Like that is how you do things right. It did it better than Back to the Future, Nathan. Can you not understand this?
Kim, cancel him.
No, Kim agrees with me. Kim will agree with me because she loves Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. She won't cancel me for that. See? Even Danny. Welcome to the stream.
Where the frick has he been? He just now subtly appeared in the chat.
He's probably playing with his clay figures because he's been playing with his urn or his his kiln. That's what that thing's called, a kiln. He's been playing with his kiln lately. He's already been canceled. Okay, Kim, I don't know if can we boot people from the stream? I don't know. We can do it.
I don't know.
Or does that
you can boot people from the stream? I don't know if you can boot people from the chat.
Oh, can I not? Oh, I don't know. Is it or is that a card?
Oh, you can put chatters in timeout.
Oh, I could totally put Kim in timeout. Totally put Kim in timeout. Would I do that though? Would I want to tempt fate and the gods by putting
to heck with the gods. Do you want to tempt the kaiju queen of the fabulous empire?
Don't you dare! I am the queen.
Now, you see, you don't get that joke. That's a joke just between Kim and I.
Why? Because you're both queens.
Yes. I sing Queen all the time. You should hear my Freddie Mercury.
Oh boy. Oh. All right. Oh. You'd have so much crap rain down. It's true. I would, Travis. It's true. So much. So I would have Donnie Winter come down. I would have Donnie ascend from on high to take a frying pan.
You mean descend from on high?
Whatever, Nathan.
Ascend is up, descend is down.
Descend from on high to hit me with a frying pan. Or one of his books of poetry. Which go, by the way, read his books of poetry. They're really good, by the way. So the plug for our friend Donnie.
Well, now we have to what?
What? Cancel Nathan? Yes, we have to cancel Nathan.
Nobody wants to cancel. Well, no, there have been people who wanted to cancel Nathan, but they failed.
We're not going there, sir. We're not going there. No, yes, quite.
Yes, I am an English major.
Mr. Marchand, we are not doing that today. Because, well,
if we get you any drunker, you'll sound like Jamie, okay?
I'm drinking water, sir.
No, I was talking to to Mr. WHG3.
Oh, okay. Kim, yes, go check out Nuclear Lizard Media on YouTube. Kim is officially retired from her Kaiju Kim YouTube channel, but you can still go listen. You can still go listen to I saw the comment. You can still go listen to the backload. The backlog of her show. Go watch the backlog of her show because it's fantastic. And no one will be able to replace her ever in the history of time. But if you're interested in brand new content and what she's got going on with her
Nuclear Lizard Media.
Yeah, with her hustle, with her video production hustle, Nuclear Lizard Media. Go check that out. She says she's done with the show, not necessarily the channel. Okay, so
Get it right.
That is good to know. I am sorry. I have offended the queen.
Yes, quite.
And Jamie, I didn't say anything about you drinking alcohol. I know you don't drink. So Nathan here is not a real friend because I knew you didn't drink, but Nathan,
I didn't say Jamie got drunk. I just said you would sound like Jamie when drunk.
See, that's still offensive, Nathan. That's still offensive to our friend Danny, our friend. It's still offensive to our friend Jamie.
I think we are failing at avoiding cancellation material.
No, we're not. We're not. But we are failing at not going down going down rabbit holes. The rails, yes, as Travis pointed out, the rails are very far behind us at this moment. So
this is still mild compared to some of the other live streams that we've been in.
This is true. And we've actually been able to keep this under an hour and a half. That's the amazing thing. That's the amazing part. Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Yes, quite.
Yes, quite. So before
okay, fine. Okay. I think the Irish are drunker than the Scots, but you're angrier. Okay.
Nathan, just for clarity's sake, what can the listeners with attitude expect next?
After once and always?
After once and always. What can the listeners
After once and always, you're getting 2 Sentai episodes in a row. So I guess it'll be Sentai May? Sentai? That doesn't roll off the tongue very well.
It doesn't work as well as
so you're getting to Sentai May. So we're going to be doing Choriki Sentai Oranger, which I think I'm about halfway through or close to it.
Episode 30. I'm episode 30 right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is your second time through, right?
Yeah, my second time. It's such a good show that I decided to watch all the way through this time. Before, with these past Sentai shows, I've just been kind of watching like bits and pieces here and there just to get the gist of it and jog my memory. But with Oranger, I really enjoy Oranger. So, and shout out to Travis. Travis, you're right. You're right, Travis. Oranger is a very good show. It is currently, until I finish Time Ranger, it is currently my favorite Sentai season. Sentai show. Jesus, I can't talk today. Jaden Christ. Is this Chris? Is this our favorite Canadian bacon loving Canuck? Is that who this is? Is that who this is? Okay.
Or just someone who knows that we've stereotyped Canadians
maybe
on the show.
Yeah, because our friend Chris Cook, he's Canadian. No,
that Mr. User is not Chris.
Daggone
but anyway, that would have been funny.
That would have been funny.
Yeah, so we're doing Oranger. I'm gonna be honest with you. Oranger's been a little bipolar.
A little bit.
Bacon Sentai Canuck Ranger. The Red Ranger is a moose.
Oh.
Bacon the Henshin.
So we're covering Oranger.
But as I was saying, I'm about halfway through it. It's felt a little bipolar. Those first handful of episodes were such bangers. Like it comes out swinging, and I'm ignoring that. It comes out swinging. It is freakishly dark at when it starts, and then the tone starts to shift. It goes a little all over the place, and I mean, the lighter, funnier episodes have been entertaining, but I'm like, I feel like the show is at its best when it went full tilt dark, because there's no way they could have done what they were doing in Zeo with that, because the Baranoia Empire, oh man, they go places that Saban wasn't going to do with the Machine Empire. But then they started making the Baranoia Empire a bit of a joke. So I don't know. I'll have to finish it to make a final assessment. Like I said, it's felt a little bipolar, and there are real world reasons for that, but
And
still.
I'm really looking forward though when you get to Car Ranger.
Oh, yes. Gekiso Sentai Car Ranger. People think I'm not going to be able to handle this thing. I'm like, come on. It has the advantage of not being turbo.
It makes so much more sense. It makes so much more sense in context. Someone asked us in our Facebook group the other day, Nathan, if we're going to be able to tolerate the constant usage of the word Ursh in term when they're talking about the planet Earth.
I'm not gonna rant master on that. Okay, I need something way better than that to rant master about. Okay.
Yeah. And also to Travis's point, yes, Old Ranger does have a strong ending. There we go.
Right, that's what I've been told, so I'm looking forward to it. I think the last episode I saw was their take on the cliche anime beach episode. Which was, I admit it was amusing, but still, I'm like, this is not how the show started, guys.
Oh, speaking of not how this show started, so I don't know how to end this. Like, I'm really bad at ending things. So
we do a power blessing.
We do a power blessing. I already have my power blessing. I'm good. So, do you have your power blessing, Nathan?
Dang it.
See what I got to go through, people?
Okay, I got it. I'll go with this one.
Okay. I know you.
Well,
I know you don't have mine, so.
Oh, I don't? I don't.
I'll go first. I know you don't have mine.
Okay, so you're going to go first. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go first. So. All right, listeners with attitude, that wraps up this episode. And may you always never get high on your own supply of Goldar dust.
I can't compete with that one. But also, may you be visited or not visited, depending on how you feel about it, by alien looky-loos.
And may the power protect you. So, there we go. That ends the official episode. So we'll hang out for just a minute, guys. Read some more things from the chat.
Yeah, I really hope StreamYard worked out very well for this, because the SD card on my soundboard decided it wanted to die. So I think this new SD card I bought got corrupted. So
Danny, it's been long since it's been morphin time since about.
It's morph. I think. Well, I thought he was going for morphine time.
No, dude. Learn to read, English major. I
don't know. It could be a typo.
It's been morphin time about an hour ago, Danny. So
yeah, get over it, Jamie. Okay, it's never going away.
Oh boy. Thank you, Travis. We appreciate it. Yeah, we appreciate that. We appreciate you guys sticking around with us. We actually tis time for metamorphosis. It's a very
line from the show.
Yes, it's a very Billy thing to say, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
I think it's from the Halloween episode we did.
I think so.
Yeah.
I do want to point out just something because I missed it. I'm glad you're enjoying Mega Ranger, Kim. Looking forward to having you on that episode.
Yeah, I think she's going to make a video about Mega Ranger as well. I here's my prediction, since we're talking about it. Given what I have seen, I've seen a few episodes of Mega Ranger, and given what I have heard people say about Mega Ranger. I have a sneaking suspicion that Mega Ranger might be the first one of these shows where I say Power Rangers did it better. Because I've been noticing that I've been trending towards saying Sentai did it better. I think Mega Ranger I think In Space might actually
And
top
why
Mega
might
Ranger.
that be, Nathan? Why might that be?
Fine, blue wigs and black leather, but there's going to be other reasons.
Uh-huh. Well, okay. So to be fair, um, I believe that the contextualization of Ecliptor is better in Power Rangers than
I
it
think
was.
Ecliptor is better than, for what I've heard,
And
Ecliptor is better than his Sentai counterpart. I've heard Darkonda is better than his Sentai counterpart.
right, it's Darkonda doesn't have Darkonda's counterpart, Granule or Granol or something like that.
Granola? What?
No, I can't remember the name. Starts with he's supposed to be a troll, basically. So he's not in the show a whole lot, whereas Darkonda had a much more significant role in Space than his Sentai counterpart with Mega Ranger. So
it is Gurail?
Gyrail. I don't know.
It's Guirail. Gurail. Yeah, because it's like no, it could be Girail because Anguirus.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I've heard Darkonda's better. I've heard Ecliptor is better. There are some characters exclusive to both shows. The main villain in Mega Ranger is as far from Astronema as you can get. I think it's a wacky mad scientist guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have a token hot villainess in that one, but she looks nothing like Astronema.
Well, they also have their own Dark Spectre.
Yeah, and they have a version of Dark Spectre. He fills the same role from what I can tell, but I can also tell you from the handful of episodes that I've seen, as incredibly different as In Space is, because Mega Ranger is video game and virtual reality themed, whereas In Space is a space show. They do adapt seemingly some of the storylines pretty closely, because I think was it last year or the year before, I just decided I want to watch some Christmas tokusatsu. I'll look up a list of Sentai Christmas episodes, and Mega Ranger had 2 of them. And it was actually a 2-parter that on Power Rangers featured that absolutely fantastic episode where not Ashley, dang it, the Pink Ranger. Why is her name escaping me? Cassie, where Cassie had to be absolutely silent or the psychos would get her.
Yeah,
that is similar. Actually adapted very, very closely from the Sentai.
So is the episode
it's really going to, I think it's going to really, depending on how the rest of the show shakes out, it's probably going to come down to really just a handful of things. And at this point, I'm thinking Astronema being such a fantastic character and Ecliptor and Darkonda being better than their counterparts, is probably going to edge it out.
I think so too. So just to answer Travis's question, we are looking for someone to fill the spot for Gal Ranger, which is the adaptation for
the Sentai for Wild Force.
Wild Force. Which would be a little ironic, because you're supposed to be on the Wild Force episode anyway. But yeah. So anyway, guys, I think we're going to call it here. And thanks for showing up. Appreciate you guys. And I hope you enjoyed the show. This was a little bit of a mess. It's a little bit of an experiment for sure. But
how do you think it went, Michael?
I think it went pretty good. This is a lot more controlled than what we're used to, because there's a lot of long pauses when we record because we're always trying to look up information. So this was actually, I think doing the comic episodes this way is going to be is going to be really, is going to be easier because those things that's a lot of digestible information, and we're not having to do research on the fly like we do with some Sentai episodes, just to make sure that we're intellectually honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it went fine. I don't know. Maybe the listeners with attitude will tell us how it went later when they tell us don't ever do this ever again. We never want to see your ugly faces ever again.
Well, prepare for disappointment.
Oh boy. All right, guys. We're going to call it here. Thank you guys again for showing up. Travis, Kim, Jamie, Danny, Jake.
Oh, really? Life is lovely. Aloha? Aloha. Are you from Hawaii?
Oh, aloha. Nice. I've been to Hawaii once. It was a beautiful place.
I'm just wondering. Maybe Hawaii's a little bit on the brain for me because I just cleaned out Generation Kakaida a few months ago. Well, about a month ago. No. Yeah, about a month ago.
Oh, Alec. Okay. Thanks. So yeah.
Alec?
It is. You guys are 6 hours behind us. So yeah, okay. So it's like mid-afternoon for you guys there. So I'm really bad at ending these things, Nathan.
Well, we've already done the official ending.
We have, but so we're just kind of hanging out. We're just kind of hanging out right now.
Well, we'll yeah. I think really all we can really say is shut up about Once and Always until we actually see it, and we'll have our invitation only watch party, and then we'll watch it again, and then we'll podcast about it, and then send your hate mail to Michael.
But for now, we're gonna say goodbye, and may the power protect you. Bye, guys.